Hello, everybody. Let's talk money. Specifically, the amount of money that Jamal Adams is going to be earning for the next several years of his life. We all know, this guy is due a big, fat contract. The biggest contract in the history of the NFL for a safety. You can rest assured he's going to get it, if not in the next couple months, then sometime in the next, I'd say, 6 to 8 months. I don't know. It would be unfathomably foolish for this team to trade everything that they traded for Jamal Adams and then only have him for 2 seasons. It would also be phenomenally foolish for Jamal Adams to play on the final year of his rookie deal, where he will be earning less than 10 million, I think, and where he puts himself at risk of maybe ruining his future earnings down the line. So let's talk about what the extension might look like. Let's try to guess what a reasonable Jamal Adams contract extension will look like. And I want to stress that word reasonable. I've had some people in my stream stop by lately and talk about how, oh, because we gave up all this stuff for Jamal Adams, he can hold us hostage and ask for $80 billion and we just have to give it to him. He has all the leverage. You can ask for the moon. As near as I can tell, that's not true because we can always just franchise tag him. And I guarantee you, Jamal Adams wants nothing to do with a franchise tag. So, unless there was some thing in the trade that said we can't franchise tag him, which some people have said was there, but as near as I can tell, it's not there. I have yet to find any indication that Jamal Adams has any sort of no franchise tag clause in the trade to the Seahawks. So, if anybody can come up with some official source on that, feel free to go ahead. But as far as I know, we can hold the franchise tag over his head. And you know Jamal doesn't want that because if it comes to it, if we can do it, we will franchise tag him. We will not lose him for nothing. Okay. So before we get into dissecting what this contract extension might look like, let's take a look at the NFL salary cap in the last 5 or 6 years. So in 2015, which that's not even that long ago, the salary cap was about $143 million. Since then, and actually going all the way back to 2013, if you want to peel back a little bit beyond that, the cap has gone up by about $10 million a year every year until this year. As you can see, the cap went down about 16 million in 2021 because of COVID effects, but from 2013 on, you're seeing a jump to 10 million, 10 million plus, 12 million, almost 12 million, 10 million, 11 million, 10 million, and then we see the drop off here. But 2022 expects to be about 208 million, so we're going to basically skip a year and then go back to the expected pace of 10 million a year increase. So the cap has been pretty steadily climbing lately. So let's take a look at how safety contracts have been affected by the cap going up. 2015, let's start with 2015. Who set the market at safety in 2015? The answer is Devin McCourty. On March 9th of 2015, the New England Patriots signed McCourty to a 5-year, $47.5 million contract. So 5 years, $47.5 million at the time, the biggest contract given to a safety in NFL history. If you go to his Spotrac page and you go to that contract, you can see the average annual value was $9.5 million. $9.5 million a year. Okay. Now, the cap goes up by about 12 million the next year. And who sets the market? Harrison Smith. On June 6th, 2016, Smith signs a 5-year, $51.25 million contract extension with the Vikings. All right. A little more than 10 million a year. If you go to his Spotrac page, you can see average annual value is 10.25 million. So the cap goes up by about $12 million, and the record contract for a safety goes up by about $500,000. It's now broken 8 figures. And I want to be clear, These are long-term contracts. These are not 1 year or 2 year deals. These are long-term contracts. Okay, now let's go to 2017. The cap goes up about another 12 million in 2017. Who set the market? Eric Berry. On February 28th, a little after the Super Bowl in 2017, the Chiefs signed Berry to a 6 year, $78 million contract. So that was quite a significant jump, actually. And you go to his Spotrac page. Obviously, Eric Berry's been out of the league for a while, but if you take a look at that big contract he signed, the average annual value was $13 million. So we went up 2.75 million in terms of average annual value in just 1 year. So sizable jump. 2018, the cap goes up again about 10 million. Who set the market in 2018? Nobody. For some odd reason, no safeties signed big contracts that I could find in 2018's offseason. It was a very quiet offseason for safeties. Nobody signed for more than 10 million a year. So the market stayed the same. Eric Berry was still the king. This was the year where we could have extended Earl Thomas, but chose not to. Maybe because we knew he would want more than Eric Berry, and Eric Berry had shattered the ceiling. I don't know, but regardless, we didn't do that, and no safety signed a monster deal in 2018's offseason. So let's go to 2019. The cap goes up another 10 million in 2019, and who sets the market? Kevin Byard, or Kevin Bird, or however you pronounce it. On July 24th, 2019, Bird signs a 5 year extension worth $70.5 million, highest paid safety in NFL history. And if you take a look at that contract, which is still obviously ongoing, the average annual value is 14.1 million. So the cap has now gone up about 20 million, and the AAV for the highest paid safety has gone up about 1.1 million. So obviously these things are not following a linear relationship. These things are not one to one, but you can see the cap goes up, so safety salaries go up, which is the way it should be. That's just common sense. That's just basic logic. All right, so that's Kevin Byard for 2019. Let's go to 2020. The cap goes up another 10 million to 198.2, almost 200 million now. And who sets the market but our old friend Budda Baker? On August 25th, 2020, Baker signs a 4 year, $59 million extension with the Cardinals, highest paid safety in the NFL at that time. And the average annual value of that contract was just $250,000 shy of 15 a year. So we have almost gotten to that 15 million mark at this point. So the cap goes up 10 million, and the average annual value of the highest paid safety goes up about 650,000. Yeah, 650,000. So another incremental little bump up. And let's go ahead and take it home with the 2021 salary cap. Now, look, it went down. And you would think that would have a big effect on things. It didn't have a big effect on the top guys. It had a bigger effect on the medium guys. The guys like the Carlos Dunlaps, the guys like the Kerry Hyders. They didn't get the money they would have because of the cap going down. But the top level guys still got paid. Case in point, Justin Simmons, who a few months ago signed a 4 year, $61 million contract extension, which makes him now the highest paid safety in NFL history by AAV, $15.25 million. So that gets us to here. And as of right now, Justin Simmons has the record for safety salary per year, 15.25. And you can see the cap keeps going up by 10 to 12 million a year. I know it went down this year, but that's not really going to have an effect on the elite players like Justin Simmons, like Jamal Adams, you just as an example, Corey Linsley. He had no problem getting paid because he's elite. He got paid big money because he's one of the best in the league. So he still gets paid. The guys who don't get paid are the mid-level guys. So ignoring for a fact that the cap went down, ignoring for a minute that the cap went down, excuse me, and remembering that the cap is going to skyrocket next year and it's going to keep climbing up the way it has been going forward, I think that assuming that the rate of acceleration of the cap keeps going up, then it only makes sense that the number that Jamal Adams ends up signing for would be about 16 to 17 million dollars a year. That's a little bit of a bigger jump than what we've seen in a lot of the recent years, but this is a special circumstance. We traded a lot of stuff to get Jamal that has to give him at least a little extra leverage. I don't think it gives him as much as some people think, but it does give him a little bit of extra. Now, Jamal Adams frequently lines up as a linebacker. And if we played this game with linebackers, we would find guys who get paid a lot more than safeties. So Jamal Adams might be able to say, I'm a linebacker too. You got to pay me a little more because of that, right? And he could even argue that, hey, I line up as a defensive end sometimes. Look at what those guys get paid. Go look at Khalil Mack's contract. I don't know how much weight that's going to carry in a negotiation, but because of that, I feel like you're going to be looking at about $17 million a year average annual value for Jamal Adams. So, as of right now, that would be my guess for the average annual value of Jamal Adams' deal. So, I guess the only thing left to figure out is how long is this contract going to be? Justin Simmons signed a 4-year extension. Buda Baker signed a 4-year extension. Kevin Byard signed a 5-year extension. Eric Berry, 6 years. Harrison Smith, 5 years. Devin McCourty, 5 years. It's becoming in vogue for players, the elite players, to want to sign extensions of about 4 years because they want to get to the next contract. That's one thing that Dak Prescott fought very heavily for during his negotiations with the Cowboys in recent years. He wanted a 4-year deal. So I think that Jamal Adams is probably going to be wanting the same thing. So that's my guess for a Jamal Adams extension. 4 years, but it'll be on top of the year he has left on his contract. So it'll really be a 5-year contract in total. And you're going to be looking at about 17 million a year. So I'm going to say 4 years, $68 million. That's my guess right now. Let's see how close I end up being. I'm going to go and get out of here with that note. Let me know what you think in the comments. How much would you pay him? Do you think he's worth 4 years, 68 million? What do you think he's going to get? Do you think he's going to be able to squeeze out more because he's a different breed from most safeties? It's possible. But again, I want to remind you guys, there is the franchise tag, and I guarantee you Jamal Adams wants nothing to do with that. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.